be so much in that title, but I won't go on too long because there's a big program. We have an evening of poetry and discussion, and mainly about untold stories about women, and so many there are. I just wanted to point out, before I forget, talking about stories and women, there are all these A5s that tell you about women that are not very well known, connected to Birmingham and their life stories. There's too much to read because I got really enthused, but you know, you can only read so many on an evening. So I have been told that all these will be sent to you. So you can sort of, you know, don't feel you have to study them all tonight. You get them at home. Well, this evening is hosted by Words and Walks. The walks have already been done by some of you, or one walk, I understand. And it's in partnership with Birds Associates, Birmingham Heritage Week, the Roundhouse, and also the Lottery Community Fund. Well, I'm Irene de Boo. I coordinate Birmingham Heritage Week, and I'm really pleased to be here at this event and to have an event like this, because heritage can be incredibly traditional. It still had this bricks and mortar, old buildings, important people, often imported man image. So I'm really pleased that Birmingham Heritage Week is hosting an event like this. It's different in content, it's different in how it's put together, and I'm really excited about it. I think it's a really different event, so I'm pleased about that. I am the host, so I'm also doing a lot of boring bits. One of them, boring but very important, is the toilet. It's over there, in that small corridor. The fire exit is this one. Don't run out too fast, the road is behind there, but that's the fire exit. I hope we don't need it. There's food and drink at the bar, which you can just buy at any time. Don't feel you have to sit down all the time. And we will be live streamed. So if you don't want to appear on a live stream, could you let Stephen know? Stephen, where are you? Here, there? Yeah. So if you let Stephen know, just informally sort of avoid me, then he'll do that. And just before we really set off, just a breakdown of what you can expect tonight. We start with poetry, a nice poetry set of about 15 minutes. Then we have a round table discussion, and then after that we'll have more poetry. And then there is concluding remarks, but more importantly, we won't chuck you out. We actually like you to stay and to talk and to network and to get to know each other. So that's the setup for the evening. And I would now like to introduce to you Hidden Notes. And I'm going to read a bio because there is too much for me to do that all sort of, you know, from my head. So Hidden Notes. Hidden Notes is a poetry and acoustic music trio born out of family jamming sessions. The collaboration is led by poet Simone Wordsmith, who, despite having setbacks of dyslexia, has won many poetry awards. She has also been commissioned by many organizations, including most recently Birds Associates and on the Dreaming Tower Ballroom project. Simone has performed alongside some renowned poets, including Lem Sissay, Akala and John Agard. However, despite all this, her favorite people to perform alongside with are her sister Shalene, her sister Shalene, and her husband Nathaniel Smith. Over there. Together they are combining poetry and music as the trio called Hidden Notes. Ever since coming together in 2015, they have not only won performance competitions, but most rewardingly, they have won over the hearts of many. Their sound is distinct and have been known to truly move people. With influences from their Christian faith, they give voice to the unheard and shake the dust of stories that have been hidden or disregarded. Can I please ask forward Hidden Notes?
Hello, everybody. We can breathe. We're here. I hope everyone's excited for tonight. I know I am. I've been all kind of emotions. I think being locked down for so long and coming out and not really perform for such a long time, it does bring all these kind of emotions. So I'm really excited for tonight. I just want you guys to feel relaxed, feel like we're all family, and those who are online, I don't know what camera it is, but welcome to you also. So, many of you may know me. My name is Bessie Coleman, And in 1922, I was the first black female to fly a plane. When I was 9, my father, he built me a throne out of broken wood and rainbows. He gave me paper aeroplane legs, taught me how to fly. Every morning, I would sit beneath the sky and watch the aircrafts creating the heavens out of grey clouds. I had never seen anything so beautiful.
I get out of all your boxes, I get out. You can't keep me in these chains, I get out. Father, free me from this bondage, knowing my condition, it's the reason I must change, I get out.
Neighbours looked on. They said I drifted too high in low places. They said I will never fly like the men in aircrafts because wind tears through paper-thin skin. So they lay me on a park bench. They coloured in my beauty spots. They told me I was too pretty for danger, yet too dark to truly know how to love. So I pushed my fingers through the soil. I prayed with dirt under my nails. I squeezed a sponge doused in my spit. I tried to scrub the black off my skin.
I get out of all your boxes, I get out. You can't keep me in these chains, I get out. Father, free me from this bondage, knowing my condition, it's the reason I must change, I get out.
So I pushed my feet against the shore, flew a kite, sailed the breeze. God blew the breeze and said it was to guide me home. But if I could borrow the wind for just a moment, then maybe I could marry the pollen and grow flowers in the sky, grow arms as big and as wide as wings. Because someone once taught me how to build a throne out of broken wood and rainbows. Someone once taught me how to love through grey clouds. Someone once taught me how to smile. My name is Bessie Coleman, and in 1922, I was the first black female to fly a plane. I got out.
I get out of all your boxes, I get out. You can't keep me in these chains, I get out. Father, free me from this bondage, knowing my condition, it's the reason I must change, I get out.
So what I want you guys to do, I want you to help me sing, well, help her sing. And I want you to just sing with me on this, okay? So we're gonna wake up. I know you've been walking, some of you, but I want you to wake up and, just sing with me, okay? Hey, can you do that? Hey, that's right. Hey, hey.
I get out of all your boxes, I get out. You can't keep me in these chains, I get out. Father, free me from this bondage, knowing my condition, it's the reason I must change, I get out. I get out of all your boxes, I get out. You can't keep me from these chains, I get out. Father, free me from this bondage, knowing my condition, it's the reason I must change, I get out.
So, unfortunately, my name isn't Bessie Coleman. But it is Simone Smith, and again, this is Shalene Kocher, and this is Nathaniel Smith. So my sister and my husband, it's a family affair. Yeah, we're just really excited to be here. And some of you who have been on the walk did or may have noticed a building where they started, which is called the Tower Ballroom, and this poem was requested for me to perform. So basically, the Tower Ballroom, to give you a bit of context if you weren't on the walk, it's a building, if you walk past it, you could probably just walk past it and not really notice it's there really, but it's a building that has so much history. It's derelict now, you know, there's graffiti all over it, and you would just kind of, just like, what is that? But there is so much history in those bricks, and as a part of a project that I was doing with Iris, Dreaming Tower Ballroom, and also Revealing the Reservoir, I wrote this poem dedicated to the Tower Ballroom, the kind of Birmingham's child, this ugly duckling that people don't want, but it's got so much history and it's been there from the start, and you know, and this is a poem just celebrating that. If you do get a chance, again, just a little plug for the Roundhouse, they do have an audio tour, which is where you walk around the Roundhouse, you walk around the reservoir, which is Edgbaston Reservoir, and there's different points, different talking points of different histories, and the end is this poem. So I'm going to read this poem and just talk about some of the histories that is kind of within the tower, and I hope you enjoy. It was a water birth of sorts. Edgbaston caught me with itching fingers laced in promises. Birmingham's child. I was taught never to fit in the boxes they made for us. Learned how to walk through thick waters, how to grip my toes in the dirt through the powerful blows of wind. I was born not to look pretty, but to break rules. I began as a place where skates would cut through my ice, a cold place that somehow warmed frozen passions, frozen dreams. Dust the cobwebs off my boxing ring to feel the blows, hear the bell and hear the first time rings. The broken smile of the underdogs, worn out gloves, spilt drinks, sticky floors. The margins of these rooms hold more than bookmarks. They hold love stories, flowers, photographers, vows locked tight inside me. And for years, I've swung hips with them. I've tapped feet with them, yet still they flock to me, small in their number but mighty in their sway, their dance, their skate. Though I'm short in stature, they call me Tower. Maybe it's because they stand on my shoulders to reach themselves. Edgbaston, never limited to doors closed or abandoned buildings. So you can't keep my doors shut. I will bleed out into the car parks. They will spray paint my face in colour, skateboard on my walls, street dance on my concrete, sing melodies that echo beneath the arch of my doors. They will skate through blisters, dance in the rain. You can't stop us from dancing. You can't stop us from singing. You can't stop me from breathing. My rhythm is in the water that surrounds us. My history woven into these bricks. I was born not to look pretty, but to break rules. I am Birmingham's child who learned how to walk through thick waters, through the powerful blows of wind. Your wind will not tear me down. I am Birmingham's child. Thank you. So the last one for this set is one dedicated to my grandma. So we're talking about women. We're talking about powerful women, even just everyday women, you know, who are also powerful. But yeah, we're celebrating that. And I just thought, you know, when we're going through all of these incredible women, there's the things that probably move all of us are people that are close to home. Get my words out. People that are close to home and, like, you know, our parents, grandparents, our mum, you know, aunties, all of these incredible women that we have so close to us. And for me, it's my grandma. Unfortunately, she did pass away in 2020, so last year. But I wrote this before she passed, and it's just dedicated to her because I've seen her on this journey of being such, like, a woman that you kind of look up to, you know, being small. And now as I'm growing up, she suffered with dementia, and it's kind of like the switching of roles kind of thing. And yeah, my heart goes out to her. I mean, she travelled from St Kitts, that's where our family's from, and she travelled in the Windrush generation, and she's just a real role model to me even to now, and a lot of the things that she said still holds with us all. She's a woman of faith, so she's a Christian woman as well, and that is something that we also kind of hold dear to. And also, she has how many grandchildren? Grandchildren and great-grandchildren. When we was doing the book, it was like, I couldn't fit it all on the page. It's like over 50 plus grandchildren and great-grandchildren. So she's left a legacy in Birmingham. So this one's dedicated to her.
Together, Lord, bind us together with love.
She twisted the wedding ring on her finger, poured whiskey on his grave, told us it will taste better that way. Now he can finally sip it in peace. Ever since Grandad died, dementia slept in her porch. My grandmother learned how to pray with the sways of her torso, the rub of her temple and the slap of her thighs. She sang gospel songs to the beat of her heart. through the rage of the kettle and the hum of the TV. Once a man, twice a child, she say. Once a man, twice a child.
Bind us together, Lord, bind us together with cords that cannot be broken. Bind us together, Lord, bind us together, bind us together with love.
On the day she felt lonely, dementia let himself in. He would sip what was left of Grandad's whiskey. He knew how to get drunk, how to vandalize the corridors. Dementia tried on Grandad's ring for size. They had a strange romance. They grew young and silly together. He would call her family strangers. And every night, she would sit by the fireplace and drink hot milk until her hair turned white. She would tell of this man in her house who laid photographs of funerals on her dining table, reminding her she's next to go. At times, we would find letters neatly folded behind mirrors of her last goodbye. Once a man, twice a child, she said. Once a man, twice a child.
There is only one God. There is only one King. There is only one body. That is why we sing.
She no longer recognizes her home. Her eyes go as far back as yesterday. She's almost forgotten how to laugh. But every now and then, there's a glint, a glimmer of how she once was. She has found her new life partner. But he sucks the life from her. And still, her hands are dark green. Everything she touches develops. My grandmother has never forgotten her first love. She has never forgotten how to pray. It's in the sways of her torso. It's in the rub of her temple. It's in the slap of her thigh. She sings gospel songs to the beat of her heart, through the rage of the kettle and the hum of the TV. Once a man, twice a child, she say. Once a man, twice a child.
Bind us together, Lord, bind us together with cords that cannot be broken. Bind us together, Lord, bind us together, bind us together with love. Bind us together with love. Bind us together with love.
Well, I must say it's quite difficult to take over now. There were quite emotional bits, and it really made me think, and it's a very interesting perspective on dementia, about having somebody else in the house. So thank you, I'll think about that. I know people who suffer, and it's, I'll look that up, thank you. Right, I just wanted to say as well that if you want to know more about Hidden Notes, it's on Instagram at hidden notes, but also there is a website, so it's simonewordsmith.co.uk. I love the wordplay on Smith and Word and Simone Wordsmith. You know, it's something I'll remember. You know, normally I don't remember difficult things, but I can remember this. So very nice. Yeah. Well, we're on to our next bit of the evening, which is the roundtable discussion. And I'll read a bio and then introduce our guest forward. So the first one I have here is Amira Ismail. And Amira Ismail is currently studying for her MA in International Relations at the University of Birmingham, where she has also gained her BA in History. Passionate about youth engagement, Amira is an associate consultant with the Esme Fairbairn Foundation, where she advises on funding priorities that impact young people across the UK. Through her work with Beat Freaks on the Don't Settle project, she has acted as curator, as Luna resident, and currently supports the project as chair of the consortium board. And as Queen Elizabeth II Academy Ambassador with Chatham House, Amira also helps shape the Academy's engagement with the next generation of leaders in international affairs. So Amira, could you please come forward? Our second guest for the evening is Audrey Jackson. Audrey Jackson is mother, widow and breast cancer survivor. Recipient of the Life Turnaround Award category in the 2019 Wise Women Awards. Author of Honey from the Rock, 40 Prayers for Widows. Founder and CEO of Pouring on Oil and Wine, CIC, the Community Investment Company, Community Interest Company, sorry. The organisation is set up to host Widows' Breakfast, to take care and support widows in churches and in the wider community. Widows' Breakfast provides a safe space for women who have lost their husbands to come together to enjoy breakfast, share their unique stories, connect with other widows, and heal from their loss. Audrey spends her time connecting with women locally and nationally, with a focus to grow her organisation so she can continue to support, cultivate, engage, and inspire the widow community. Audrey, would you please come forward? And our third guest for the evening is Rachel West. Rachel moved to Birmingham in 2002 and has worked in heritage since this time. She's passionate about bringing stories to life and connecting new audiences with heritage. She has used a variety of events and activities to breathe new life into the amazing heritage of Birmingham. Working at Legacy West Midlands, she has been able to combine well-being and heritage and re-energize the Heritage Walks programme through Heritage Volunteer Training Programme and a regular schedule of Heritage Walking Tours. Rachel, could you please come forward? I have a few questions that I will read out, and then I'll ask one of the panel, or whoever in the panel feels very keen on answering the questions, to take the lead. So my first question is, can you all hear me here? Yeah. My first question is, what does the history and untold stories of local women mean to you?
Well, for me, I think it's an absence, isn't it? I was sort of thinking with my heritage hat on, how are women visible in terms of sort of arts and heritage? And the statue that I thought of was Queen Victoria. So for me, I thought, well, does Queen Victoria really sort of say enough about the lives of women past and present in Birmingham? And they don't. So it's redressing an absence for me, and it's sort of long overdue. So that's why I'm sort of I was very happy that Iris invited me to be here this evening.
Thank you. Any further thoughts?
Yes, but can you repeat the question, please?
Of course I can. What does the history, for everybody,
Okay.
Always useful to hear it again. What does the history and untold stories of local women mean to you?
Oh, I'm going to say that it means everything to me, because there is such beauty and strength and resilience in the untold stories once they are told. And so it's everything, because then you realise that you're not on your own. Then you realise that you can make it. So for me, I would say it's everything.
I feel like I really can't follow that one up. But just to add on to that, I think having untold stories of women is an injustice for younger women, especially, and women of all ages, because I think that's a missed connection that I don't think men have to deal with a lot. I think their stories are told, their stories are the norm, and that's kind of the message we're told ever since we're little kids, that, you know, you're told to be a little bit more quiet, to be humble, and I never see that, you know, said to men. And you don't see that said to men in Birmingham. The names Chamberlain and Bolton mean so much to everyone, but you can't say the names of women. I certainly can't, and I think that is a deficit in my education, and I think that's kind of on purpose, because I think if you did centre the voices and the stories of women, we wouldn't have to have events like this. But it is great to have this kind of space, because I think we can talk about it, bring it forward a bit more, and I think I'm hoping things will change in the heritage sector. I think if you've got more informal spaces to share everyday stories instead of just what is told, that you're told is really great or special or amazing, I think, like you said, there's so much beauty in the ordinary, and just understanding someone's personal story, I think there's so much power in that alone.
Sorry.
I'll move here to be closer.
No, it's just made me think that the national curriculum for history did actually change. So there is the opportunity for more local stories to come forth. But I don't know if that's happened enough within Birmingham schools. And, you know, and there are certainly opportunities for that. And these locals, you're absolutely right, that if people do local studies, then they tend to do the more famous faces like Bolton or Chamberlain. So we need to do more research on these hidden stories to make it easier for, you know, the teachers to make the resources available, and then, you know, those stories can be disseminated more widely, and the histories are no longer hidden.
I noticed there was a chair free, so I thought I'll instead of...
This one for you.
No, oh, all right then. Can you all hear me? Is this on? Yeah? Okay, good. That's very interesting. Some very thoughtful answers in the first 4 minutes. Very good. Well, this project, Women Between the Lines, has been put together to document the lives and work of women through history and to the present day. Can you tell us about any women who have been a role model for you? Who wants to go first?
I don't mind. I think the word role model is a bit strange for me, because I don't try to model myself on others. I'm more about who's inspiring me, who's invigorating me, who's motivating me. And someone like that for me is Amira Ismail, who was the first foreign minister, female foreign minister for Somaliland, which is where my family's from. So that meant a lot to me. And other than that, more than that, she was an activist. She was a pioneer in women's welfare and their well-being. So someone like that, that's someone I can look up to and think, you know what, that's someone I want to model myself against. Recently, I've been very obsessed with Kimberly Crenshaw. Some of you might know her name. She's an American legal scholar. She came up with the term intersectionality, which I think, especially as a black feminist, that meant a lot to me, because I could identify myself in spaces that white liberal feminism never really gave me. So that's someone who's on the back of my mind this week anyways, but I'll pass on.
In truth, I have role models for different areas of my life, but the ones that I will say are the most is definitely the widows, because it's good to have someone to look at and someone to learn from. So they're definitely at the top of my list. But I do have different role models for different areas. Even just, I'm 51, so I need a role model who can show me how to be that. I need a role model to show me how to behave at this age. I need a role model to be a mother of adults. You know, it's role models for the transitions of life. So I have different ones for different areas.
So I just thought about a couple. I noticed that one of the A5s was a woman photographer who I'd never heard of. But when I was working at Aston Hall, I came across Emma Barton, who was born in the late 19th century, who was a successful professional photographer. So she actually sort of managed to make a living as a photographer. So found her very inspiring. Also, Paulette Wilson, who she only passed away last year. She, for me, her story should be on the national curriculum in terms of her campaigning regarding Windrush. And she was a whistleblower because, you know, this sort of national scandal had been going on and just was not really being reported. And so it was her sort of tenacity which really, her and many others, but she was living locally in Wolverhampton. So, you know, she is a name who needs to be better known. And also one last person who I'm going to mention is Mary Ann Schimmelpenninck. Is that the right? Did I say it right? I think. Schimmelpenninck. She was the daughter of Samuel Galton, who was sort of a wealthy arms manufacturer, but she was very powerful abolitionist, and she was part of a movement called the anti-saccharist movement. So they basically stopped eating sugar to sort of protest against slavery. So she is somebody who was very powerful in the way that she sort of campaigned, but really, you know, just is really a forgotten name. So I think those three.
Thank you. I feel a bit awkward because both my hands have something to do, so I actually can't clap. So I just sort of, you know, it's, yeah. I also, Rachel, I want to tell you it is 8:25. Yeah, we have a typical problem here that many women always fight with. Rachel's normal arrangement to collect her children was called off at about 5 o'clock this afternoon. So now there is only Rachel who can now collect her children from an evening engagement. So as women, as we all know, she has to go. Rachel was very sorry about it, but I said, well, in this audience, I think everyone will understand. Well, I think we've already touched on this one, and it might be a very short answer, but I have a question here. To what extent did you learn about women's history in your own schooling and education? Do I need to move on, or?
No, I can talk about that one. A criminally negligent amount, to the point where I think it's systemic sexism, because I did history from primary school all the way until my degree. And unless you really insert yourself into spaces where you want to learn women's stories, or you want to learn queer stories, or you want to learn stories that are about race, you never really learn them in mainstream education, especially, I think, at a GCSE level, where I think kids can have the most impact in learning people's stories, because I think history is a way for them to engage with the human condition. It's a way for them to relate to other people. And I think if you're not having, you know, the stories of women there other than Queen Elizabeth I, I think there's a real injustice there. I mean, my A-levels, I did the Tudors and the Cold War, and it was literally the cult of men, and that's what I used to call it, because that's all I ever learned, instead of the stories of women in the background. And I think in terms of the education system at the moment, Rachel was saying it's slowly changing, and I hope it does. And I think we do really need that local engagement with history. And I don't think it's on part of the teachers, because I'm sure they've got enough to deal with. But we need to create research around it, and we need to create more resources for them to access, because men's stories are really accessible and they're really easy to teach. But the same isn't said for women, because the same energy isn't put into it, the same zeal in terms of talking about their untold stories isn't there. So I think there's a lot that can be done, but I am kind of looking forward to the future. I'm usually a pessimist, but I'm trying to be an eternal optimist about this one.
you want me to answer that? Okay.
Well, I mean, if you, yes.
That's fine. I didn't have any, I don't remember any lessons. I don't remember any celebration days like what they do now. However, I do remember teachers. I can remember what they looked like. Only a few. And so it's almost like unknowingly they have impacted my, my education, just for the fact that I can still remember them and remember their titles and who they were and their nationalities and stuff like that. So yeah, it's sort of knowing without knowing. I didn't, you know what I mean? Like you're at school, but you don't realise that they impact you for life. So they have affected my teacher, but there was no formal teaching, not like what they have now.
No. Thank you, thank you. Well, does this work? Can you actually hear me? Yeah? Okay, good. There is another question about sort of, about the lives of women in Birmingham and the many hidden stories, and we know there are many, but I would quite like to focus, if you don't mind, on a second part of the question here, because we have mentioned role models, you know, we have talked a bit about it. So, but something that I struggle with, or, you know, have many thoughts about, but can't really make very practical things out, is how do you think we can combat historic erasure? What can we do?
God, this is a hard one. First of all, research. I think everything comes from research, and that comes from the amount of effort you put into it. The fact that I can name Bolton off the top of my head and Chamberlain, but I can't do the same with women is really annoying for me. And having seen these little A5 pieces around the room about women's stories, I just kept looking at them and thinking, I didn't know this and I didn't know this. And because the research isn't easily accessible, I can't just click on their Wikipedia page really easily in the same way I can do Joseph Chamberlain, and I wish I didn't need to with him. But I think when it comes to the erasure of women, I think it's our job to speak up because it's been made that way. I think the public realm and the public space of information has so long been occupied by men, for men, and it's seen to be natural, like it's supposed to be that way, whereas women feel the need to apologize when they come into a space. Thankfully, like I'm surrounded by women that I'm sure don't and take up their ownership of those space and do it unapologetically, and I think the same thing can be said for the way you record history. And I think the way we record history needs to change as well. I think having done a history degree and still being, affected by it somehow, the way we write history needs to be a bit more, I'd say unconventional in a sense, but I don't think it's unconventional to think about oral histories more, because that's how I've learned women's stories since I was a young kid, like from my grandmother and that kind of thing. So it's weird that I can cite women's histories from random conversations I've had with women on a bus stop, but I can't exactly read their stories. And I think that's, again, because of research and the access we give to that. I went to an institution in Birmingham, University of Birmingham, and local history was so dominated by men in the department. And I think that in itself is an issue. And we can go into the issue of like the gender gap and wage gap in terms of education, but that's where I think we'd start with the erasure of women.
And Audrey.
Okay. So I had to look up the word historic erasure, and it means the lack of visibility given to people of colour who have contributed to Britain's progression. So my thoughts about that was, one, how we can combat that is to investigate the root cause of the lack of visibility, harness trust as a fruit of loving relationships, and then find ways to heal and empower women so that they can be seen and heard.
Thank you very much. And I think to that we can all contribute, all of us. What future steps do you think we need to take to acknowledge the contribution made by women in society? Really practical steps, you know. Just, it goes on a bit on the other question, but sort of what practically can we do? Because we can't all do PhDs.
And I don't think we all want to do PhDs. I think a practical step would be celebrate the ordinary, and I think we've spoken about that a bit. I think often in society we think for someone's story to be whole, it needs to be extraordinary, it needs to be great, and they have needed to like climbed Kilimanjaro or something, but I think just hearing someone's personal story, that's the best way to record history. And I think once you spark that interest, once you've got someone curious about your personal history, what you've been through, I think that's a real gateway to actually contending with someone's history and bringing it forward a bit more. To give an example, a year or two ago, I had the opportunity with young people to work on Soho House, which is a historic site in Birmingham, and some of you may have been there, and that's kind of how I got involved with this. And we looked at the story of Anne Bolton, who was Matthew Bolton's daughter, and for some reason, she wasn't really there in the house other than in her bedroom and in the music room, because that's all women could do then. They could learn music. But what was missing in that story was that she was a businesswoman in her own right. When her father was away, she ran his company. And for us, when we were thinking about the historical erasure of women and also situating the house in Handsworth, which was one of the most vibrant communities in Birmingham, we thought about, okay, there are so many great black businesswomen around us. How can we connect her to Anne Bolton's history? And that's how we connected her to Simone, and Simone's beautiful faces hanging in that room, and her story about the company you run is there too, just to connect the two histories. And I think starting with the ordinary, which I think can be so beautiful and extraordinary when you really connect to it, is a really important thing I think we need to remember. I think it's coming back to point A. It's always coming back to like the start of something.
For this question, I believe that if we raise the level of awareness of her value and expectant hope, I think that can make a difference. As well as believing in her, believing in the woman, that her contributions matter, that she matters. And I think that's it. I think just increasing her value, increasing confidence by believing in her, and what was the other one? Did I say expectant hope? Raising the level of expectant hope. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think there are so many sort of ideas and things that are coming out of here, and so much we could work on with. Yes, I like what you both mentioned, the sort of the personal connection. I think that's one of the ways in which we can really move forward, because history and the past and what people do can become quite distant. I think you need that personal connection and then move with it. So yes, that's very good. I think we could talk a bit longer. But I have some very gentle signs on the side that we might want to move on. I am actually really excited to hear a bit more poetry. So could I please ask for another applause for our two guests? And then I would like to ask Hidden Notes to come forward. Yes, Simone, it was all right. You could stand up. Yes, you can. I would like to invite Hidden Notes forward to give us a bit more poetry.
We're on. Hi, everyone. Sorry, that caught me a little bit off guard. How amazing was that? That discussion, yeah? Really highlighting why it's important to celebrate women's history, and just like, it's crazy how I can connect with those stories. So it's clearly true that we don't get taught enough in schools, about the women that do amazing things, and just celebrating the everyday stories. So this, also just to mention, Audrey has a book at the back. I forgot to mention. She has a book at the back, which is £10, and it's Widows, Honey from the Rock, 40 Prayers for Women. Okay, so if you want to have a look at the back, and also we have a book as well, which includes some of these poems that we've been doing today. And also, if you're watching online, you can buy the book on simonewordsmith.co.uk. Right, that's enough of that stuff. Anyway, so who's ever been told that they can't do something? Constantly, you can't do this, you can't do that, you know, you should change this, you should change that. And oftentimes, sadly, it comes from our teachers as well. We've got an amazing teacher here, by the way, she's a teacher, and there are some incredible teachers. But sometimes, you know, it might just be the smallest thing that someone would say, and they might not realise it, but it has a massive impact. And it's like, you know, oh, well, maybe you can't do that, you know. And the amount of stories that I've heard from people just saying, you know, I've been told, no, I can't do that. So this is about my story. And I'm going to do this piece. So, yeah, we'll start. In year 7, boys with dirty fingernails and girls with pigtails dressed in Woodrush High School uniform called me the storyteller. At lunch, I pressed my size 3 feet onto the concrete playground decorated with children addicted to my latest story of how eating too many carrots really did turn my mum's friend orange. Their eyes, paddling pools, deep enough to create adventure of dragon and damsel, yet shallow enough to drown my ankles.
I got us greater, I got stronger, got you higher than any other. I got us healer, awesome in power. I got.
In year 9, the opposite was true. You see, there was boys that knew about the smells of aftershave, and girls that had butterflies for eyes and skirts rolled up too high. And I still told stories, but stories now with spectators that laughed with their spotty red chins. They told lies. They said that I threw up on them, that my words slipping, sliding, sloppy sentences, and my fists grew teeth, because that's all it knew. And I decided to become friends with silence, because at least he knew how it felt to be ignored.
I got us greater, I got us stronger, got you higher than any other. I got us healer, awesome in power. I got.
In college, I was told words weren't my thing. They called it dyslexia. Now, Mrs. Rose, in university, Mrs. Rose looked at me with wasps for eyes. She said, "You will never come out of university with an English degree. Maybe you should consider changing courses." She said, "This is an eating, sleeping kind of thing. It's a book-tied, author-tied kind of thing. It's a late night and in the bath kind of thing. It's a straight chair, great posture, long-worded kind of thing. And I'm not quite sure if dyslexia is cut out for this kind of thing." She said, "Dyslexia is much more of a creative kind of thing. Like, have you considered media?"
And if our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? And if our God is with us, then what can stand against? And if our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? And if our God is with us, then what can stand against? Hey, then what can stand against?
So I decided God and ask him for his opinion. Now he told me this world is aching wrists and fingertips. It is flinching words and dusty blue line paper. He did say, and among the rain of my tears, I will slip into the rubble of my frustration, but I will get back up and I will deal with the simple things like lexical choices. He said, it's an eating, sleeping kind of thing. Yes, it's a book tired all the time kind of thing. It is a late night and in the bath kind of thing. It is a straight chair, great posture, long wording kind of thing. He said, yes, dyslexia can be a creative kind of thing, but your name is not dyslexia, it's Simone.
And if our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? And if our God is with us, then what can stand against? And if our God is for us, then who could ever stop us? And if our God is with us, then what can stand against? Then what can stand against?
That, those naysayers, they're all talk, but, I got my degree, I got almost a first, and I was happy with that, and I'm here speaking stories to you, telling stories to you guys, and, just don't take what people say with a pinch of salt, let's just say that. Prove people wrong. I just feel like sometimes as women we often have to prove people wrong as well, and it's draining. So if you want to do something, do it for yourself. But yeah, so this next piece, obviously we've been told about some incredible women, and I wanted to dedicate this next piece to the incredible women of Birmingham, and all of these cards that we've got around the room. If you can, take a look at them, read the stories, even if it's just the highlighted bits, you'll get something from it. But when we were doing our research, it was just mind-blowing the amount of women that we were coming across, and we tried to cram as much as we could in, but there's still more and more, and as soon as we uncover one rock, there's more and more and more. So this poem is dedicated to that. So just one of the women on there, someone might have a card, but it's Sophia Khan, and I won't ask you, you can see it, if you've got it, but yes, so many of you may have heard her name, maybe. Yeah, so you might have seen a picture of Sophia where she stood up to the Easy Hour, so there was a march going on, some racist chants, and there's a picture that captured the perfect moment when she's like, no, you're not messing on my ground of Birmingham, our ground of Birmingham, and telling me that I don't belong. And that was such a powerful story and a moment for her. So I just wanted to highlight that. Also, a lady named Pat Kirkman, who we managed to have an incredible conversation with, and she's a roller skater, she's a world record holder, she set several records and world championships, and she did it in a time where it wasn't the common thing, but she made a standpoint and she kind of went for what she was after, and she also skated in the Tower Ballroom as well, did she? Yep. So again, just some extra history there for you. So yeah, I could go on and on. But before I do, can I ask you a question? Now, when you walk down the aisles of Birmingham's libraries, do you see me in the history books? A woman who stands tall but is hardly seen. A mother hidden between the lines. Now, imagine I designed the aisle you walk down. Can you see me now? She, Francine Hoban, architect of Birmingham Library, made steel lines bend to face the genius of women's work. A library designed to a library designed to house old books with broken spines. She made the walls sing poetry, not just to the rich and intellectual, but for everybody. She designed a garden in the sky for us to see out to the city. See the melody, the textures, the people, the truth of Birmingham. A young girl born in 1955, now architect of the largest public library in Europe and one of the largest in the world. So let's tell a new story, one where we hold the narrative.
This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire.
Remember your voice, Sophia. Age 14 and told you don't belong. Remember your voice, Sophia, when you grow up and the racist chants, they still rise. Don't forget to use your voice. When the camera clicks, it captures the perfect moment for the world to see that you won't back down. Use your voice, Sophia, for others to speak louder. Use your bravery to stare monsters in the face. Sophia Khan, a woman who spoke up to the EDL in the face of their protests in this city. Birmingham, her home. Yet they scream, go back to your own. A girl whose roots were shook, only for her fruit to fall down on these vultures, yet their savagery spread her seeds far and wide to create this thick forest full of people who won't back down. So let's tell a new story, one where we hold the narrative.
This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire.
She, born in Birmingham, 1932, with skates on her feet and victory in her hands. Pat Kirkman, told she couldn't ice skate, so switched the blades for wheels. Young girl aged 19, set world records, won championships. Her arms were like wings. They would slice through the air. Her skates, they rattled like keys, doors opening. Her speed was like no other. She lifted trophies, felt the weight of medals around her neck, gave women a nod to set their own pace, to skate through limitation, dark rooms, and keep going until they see themselves, women with powerful purpose. So let's tell a new story, one where we hold the narrative. We are women and have stories unheard. We design buildings, stand between the egos of men. We win world championships. We musicians, we politicians, we write songs for the famous, paint masterpieces. We develop photographs despite the adversary. We stand for our rights. We start businesses, birth children, grow family. We storytellers. We who are caught between the lines, the fragments, the quiet places, the under-celebrated. We are women. Women with powerful purpose.
This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire.
So what I want you guys to do is just sing along with us, yeah? As we end the night, we just want you to sing along, and I'm sure we all know the song.
This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire. One more time. This girl is on fire. This girl is on fire. She's walking on fire. This girl is on fire.
So much. Thank you for coming out. Thank you for lending us your ears. It's been a beautiful evening. Again, you can find us on socials and whatnot. But yeah, thank you again, and I'll hand back to Irene. Thank you.
Yes, I mean, the official bit is over, but I hope you will all stay. But before we close this bit, I would like to ask the organisers of the Words and Walks team forward. So Simone, you have to get up again. Iris and Jen, could you please come here?
Hello, thanks everybody for coming up, and I'm just so moved by Simone's poetry, I have to say. I'm trying not to cry really, but thank you all for coming in, thank you for saying such wise words, and I think all of you have been on our walk, let's speak up women more and just be ourselves, and what was that, not asking for permission?
Yeah.
Let's just do it, and this has been 2 years in the making, so we're very happy that we could finally do it. So we've been researching very amazing people, and lots of people helped us on the way, and one of them being Jen. So, Jen, do you want to have a word as well?
Hiya. Yeah, thank you all for coming. It's been such an amazing opportunity working here. I got this as an internship, and Iris read my application and just saw my potential, and I'm so grateful to have been involved in this. It's been such a sort of empowering project to be on, and I couldn't have asked any better people to be on it. Simone and Iris are truly amazing, so round of applause for them again.
Could I just thank some people in the background? So there's Sam Morris, who's been absolutely looking after everything. Another amazing woman, also Rosie Ashmore, who has been looking after us today. And then we've got our honorary lady there, Stephen. You're going to be the honor woman tonight. We've done all our tech, thank you. And of course the Roundhouse, Chris and Charlotte, you've helped us greatly and made it happen. And Irene, of course.
Add in a couple more. And the speakers, thank you so much for, your words of wisdom and coming along, and, honestly, it's been really powerful. And also thank you for the Distillery for hosting us as well. And yeah, thanks could go on and on and on. Heritage Week. Yeah, as well. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Well, all that was on my list, but I don't have to do that anymore.
Oh.
So I think that's very good. Thank you, thank you. So I think sort of mingle, have a drink, have a chat, and enjoy the rest of the evening. So the main message: don't leave, just enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
The Red Oak.